Everyone's always talking about investing in cards and in sealed product, but you have to have a way to sell those things at the end. Let's talk about creating a TCG player store. Well, what is going on, everyone? Welcome back to Kitchen Table TCG. My name is Louie. I hope you're having yourself a fantastic day. Hey, real quick, we're gonna open a Mirrodin booster box, like original Mirrodin foil chrome mox, foil whatever, Mirrodin booster box at 10,000 subs. So if you're enjoying the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button. We're gonna hang out today and do a part 1 of I think 3 series about selling cards on TCG Player and kind of on eBay, because this is something I am super passionate about, is helping other people figure out how to sell cards, how to move cards on TCG Player and those types of platforms. I have been selling Magic cards on TCG Player for nearly, I think, 4 years. It started as a way for me to just move some extra cards I had laying around, and then it turned into kind of like a fun hobby. Like, I really enjoyed the process of shipping cards and selling stuff on TCG Player. And then, you know, now I have a full-fledged business and I have an employee who helps ship cards. It's like a whole thing. I just reached 10,000 plus sales on TCG Player. My reviews are almost up to 10,000. It's a really cool thing that has evolved over time. But I only say that, I'm not trying to brag or anything like that. I'm only saying that because I have been in all of the shoes when it comes to TCG Player. I've been the guy who looked at TCG Player and said, I don't know if I can do this. I've been the guy who's like gone through a lot of the process. And now I've been somebody who has evolved it from there. And so if you've ever considered TCG Player or selling cards, I feel like this is going to be a really cool series for you. And I'm passionate about that because I think this hobby is super unique in that when you have trading cards, they have an intrinsic value. Other people want them and are willing to pay for them. And then you can utilize that money in those trades or whatever in order to fund your own hobby. And I'm super passionate about the idea of helping other people do the same thing that I've done, which is get away from utilizing my own bank account, my personal money to spend money on my hobby, and actually have its own little ecosystem where I get to spend money on cards without worrying about like the budget and that kind of stuff. I just have my own ecosystem in my head for trading card games because of the hobby. So this is gonna be a 3-part series. This video is should you, or should you trade cards or should you sell cards on TCG Player. Part 2 is going to be the details. How do I do that? How do I do shipping? How do you get an account set up? All that kind of stuff. And then the last part will be kind of customer service and tips and tricks kind of thing to managing that side of the game. So that first question, is selling cards for you? Well, again, TCGs are a unique hobby. So if you own any cards, I personally believe that it is in your best interest to invest in yourself and invest in the idea of creating a platform for yourself to be able to sell those cards. I'm not talking about selling out of the game. I'm not talking about that kind of stuff, although it all applies to that. You know, we all talk about investing in cards and whatever, and I don't really hear a lot of people giving advice on how to actually exit the position that you accumulate of the investments. And this would set you up to at some point exit your position of collectibles if you need the money for, you know, retirement or actual, you know, giving it to your kids, or your car breaks down and you need some money. This is a really good thing to have in your arsenal as an investment in yourself that really doesn't require much money. I believe that everyone in the hobby should have a TCG Player store or an eBay account. If you do not have that, I think you are missing out. But I also believe everyone should consider the idea of utilizing this to fund the hobby. And so I want you to just consider on this video, should I even start a TCG Player store? Should I even start an eBay store? But then I also think once you make that decision, in the back of your head, you should always be kind of toying with the idea is, should I be utilizing this as the only funds for my hobby? Because that's really where I land on this. So Let's take a look at what are your options if you own a card. If you own any amount of cards, you could go to a store. You could just keep it, and do nothing with it and just sits in a collection, and it's awesome and it's a cool card and whatever, and you accumulate. Or you could take them to a store, and stores typically will pay between 35 and 50% in cash. And some stores will give you up to 60% in store credit. So for me at my local store, we do, depending on the cards, if you come in with a bunch of like $2 to $3, $5 cards, we're going to offer you 35% in cash and 55% in store credit. That's just the kind of rate that we go with. We take in any card at those price points. You don't have to worry about the cards. We don't even really think about is the meta and that kind of stuff. We take in any cards, and that's why we can stick to that price point. But if you, maybe if you have higher end cards, you could get that up to like the 50 to 60% in cash potentially. But trade-ins, we go 55 to 60% because it works really well that way. And I think that can be a really, really great thing. I love when people bring their cards and trade them into the store. It works really, really well for the store. I feel like the offer works really well for the consumer. And in fact, I would tell you, if you have a store that's paying you 60% in store credit and you are already going to be spending your money at that store, then creating this online business and online store might not be worth the extra time. On TCG Player, when you sell a card, you're going to be paying around 15% in fees, and then you have to do the shipping, and you have to do, you have losses, you have to do, the cost of ink, the cost of the envelope, the cost of the bubble mailer. So you're going to lose out on about 20% of the sale on TCG Player after fees, shipping, and all that stuff. Which means that at a 60% trade, you're really only making an extra 20%, and then you have all of your time and the energy involved in this whole thing. So if you have a store that will take 60% in trade, and if you are buying product from that store already, it may not be worth it for you to do this. But any other situation, I think this is certainly worth it, especially if you want cash. At 40%, you're now doubling your money. If a store is only going to offer you 40, 45% in cash for your cards, you're now doubling your money by selling them on TCG Player, and that's obviously worth it. But even if you are doing the trade-in thing, I still come back to this idea that for you as an investment in yourself, to take the time to get yourself a store started, and maybe you don't do it every day for the next 6 months or the next year, but maybe you just say, hey, for the next 3 months, I'm gonna focus on this little micro hobby and create a store that has good reviews and good ratings so that whenever I do have a card to sell, I can simply list it and sell the cards. I really think that that is the best option for almost everyone. That investment is not an investment in a hobby or in a game, it's actually an investment in you. The ability to extract financial value out of your hobby, I believe, is an investment in you. And it only costs time. It only costs time and maybe a little bit of money on spending some expenses to get your supplies, but really $50, I think, probably like that, you could probably get everything you need to start shipping. So, and then additionally in that investment in yourself, it provides you another way to engage in the hobby. And this is what I love. I'm convinced that a lot of the times the reason we spend money on cards or we do this or we do that is simply we like interacting with trading card games in the hobby. And everybody wants to play the game every night, and it would be awesome if I could hang out down here and I could get 4 friends or 3 friends to play Commander every single night, and I could spend time playing with the cards and enjoying that. I would love that. But in reality, it's hard to connect with that amount of times, and people have lives and jobs and wives and kids, and it's hard to connect with people all the time. And so the ability to set up a scenario for yourself where once a day for 20, 30, 40 minutes, you can come downstairs, you can go down into your office, you can print off your orders, you can engage in the hobby, you can look at the cards, you can pack them, and you can ship them out, is actually a really, really fun hobby and a fun way to engage in the trading card game industry. And I personally think that it resulted in my life in spending less money on things that I didn't actually want. What I wanted when I was spending money is a way to engage in the hobby. And so again, that investment in myself where I was able to really enjoy the time I was spending in TCGs, but also actually bringing money in to then pay for the hobby when I wanted to build a new commander deck to play with my friends or whatever like that. So it provides you that other way to engage in the hobby. It also opens you up to really fun things like buying collections. If you have a way to sell the collection, it's really fun to buy collections and go through them and look for really cool cards that you didn't know existed, or old cards that you can't buy in the stores and that kind of stuff. So it gives you and opens you up, and it frees you to be able to buy collections on Facebook Marketplace and your friends when they quit the hobby and that kind of stuff. So now at this point in this video, I want you to ask yourself this question: should I start selling cards online? And then as you digest that question, as we get to the end of this video, as you digest that question, should I start selling cards online? I want you to go through all of your extra singles. I want you to take out your trade binder that hasn't been, all the cards that haven't been moving. I want you to go to your desk and your office and grab that stack of cards that you just kind of set off to the side. Or I want you to go to your kitchen table where you play with your friends or whatever, and you've got a bunch of cards just sitting around. I really believe that most of us just have like random cards just kind of all over the place that maybe have $1, $2, $10 value, whatever it is. Accumulate all those cards, put them all in a box, then get the TCG Player app and start scanning those cards. And just take 10 minutes, take an hour of your day, and see what kind of value, you don't have work tomorrow, everyone's off tomorrow. See what kind of value you have. If you were to take those cards and sell them online, what could you do with that money, whether it be in the hobby or outside of the hobby? How much value do you have, and what would that mean to you to be able to get the money out of that? You can get 80% of that value by selling on TCG Player. And then I want you to come back twice this week. I want you to come back to these videos. I want you to watch them because I'm going to show you what I think is a really easy way to ship cards, but also a really reliable way that works. There's a little bit of cost up front, but it's a really great way to do that. So come back to the channel later this week. I'm not selling this information. I'm not doing that. I'm just putting it out there on YouTube because I think that I have found some really efficient ways and really effective ways to sell cards on TCG Player and set up some goals for you to reach to make it even easier as the time goes. And then you can decide if you want to do it based on how other people have done it. And lastly, I want you to consider investing in yourself. We all talk about investing in cards or a new TCG that comes out or reserve lists or whatever it is, but have you really considered investing in yourself? It's different. Investing in cards, other people have control over that. Wizards has control over that. Nobody has control over your TCG Player store or your eBay account or whatever it is other than you. You get to make the decisions. You get to decide when you want to sell something or when you don't want to sell something, and it allows you to invest in yourself in this hobby. And that is the best investment you can make. Utilizing a way to exit your deck. If you build a new commander deck and you get to the table and your entire table doesn't like the deck and you're like, man, I'm never going to get to play this again. This is investment in yourself, as an investment in that opportunity to then take those cards and sell them and be done with it and not have to worry about that kind of thing. It's an investment. And you open up a card, you go to your LGS, you spend $60 on packs, you open up a $100 card. It's a way for you to not have to just trade that card into your LGS, but actually be able to sell it for its full value and then utilize that money. And I'm not, I own an LGS. That money that you spend or that you get from that card, it's gonna go right back into the hobby. I'm not making a terrible decision for your LGS. Yeah, if you wanna trade it in, that's great. But also if you wanna sell it to get some money to buy other stuff for your hobby, that is also good. So invest in yourself. It's super, super important. Anyway, stay tuned for part 2 and part 3 on that. Remember to be kind to the people around you. If you do end up looking through your cards, I would love, leave a value in the comment section of this video. Be like, I had $73 worth of cards sitting in my office. That kind of thing. It'd be really fun to hear that information from you. Hopefully you have yourself a fantastic day. Remember to be kind to the people around you, and we'll see you again for part 2 and 3. Don't forget to subscribe. Really excited to open up Mirrodin. I know I won't get my value back from that box though.